So wanted to say thank you, everybody, for taking the time to jump into the AMA. We have the awesome team here from NFA Labs. We have two of their founders. We have Bumba, as well as Reality Bites. And again, these two individuals are two guys that I've met late last year. I was introduced to them through our partners over at CoinMerge, and that was the first time I really had the chance to start learning about their upcoming token launch, what was set to happen. I think it was January 15th of this year. 2023 is when, NFA Live officially hit the market. But you guys were doing, and this is kind of when I first found out about what you're doing. And it really impressed me because you were a couple months out from launch. I think it was early November when we first kind of circled the wagon. And you guys were doing so much pre-marketing. I think that was one of the things I said to A1, and I thought the token was live when I first heard about you. I was like, man, these guys are killing it. Like, what market cap are they at? And A1 was like, dude, they don't even launch till January. And I was like, holy shit, this is clearly a professional team that has put a lot of planning and time, because you guys were sponsoring those spaces at the time. So I just want to give a quick shout out to our first introduction with the team. NFA Labs as a whole has really grown into an impressive ecosystem. Started with just the one token. They've since introduced their N token, which adds the element of insurance into their ecosystem, which we've kicked around this idea before, but these guys definitely have something unique here with that. And I know it's been one of the things their community and projects that they're in touch with have been really bullish about with regards to that secondary token, as well as it kind of introduces a unique burning mechanism into those communities. I'm not going to get into the solidity side. We'll leave that for the team, but it's definitely something that has a lot of value add for the space. And I'll leave it at that. In terms of their protocols, Athena is the one that I think is the focal point right now. They've pushed a 30-day volume on BTC alone of just over 0.4 billion, which again, we're going over that, and it's really, really impressive. Still in the early testing phases. There's other protocols that they built out that, again, I'm not going to get into too much detail on. Their Canis, which is specific to Shibarium, as well as their Hectate protocol, which is kind of like a hybrid on the neural network side of things. So yeah, again, very high tech, very gigabrain type stuff. They've been around for a while. They're still sitting at over 8 million market cap. I know if you talk to anybody in the community, the future is really still the brightest thing about NFA Labs and NFAI, their token. So yeah, again, really impressed with the professionalism and the work that these guys have done. Recently they've been accepted. You can now utilize their token to purchase through Amazon Web Services, which is, again, just really cool. Some of the things they're trying to do to move towards adoption and get that brand out there. And the end vision here is that decentralized hedge fund and being able to potentially turn the keys over to the community and, finally add that decentralized aspect that blockchain is supposed to be all about. So yeah, again, just huge fans of you guys in general. I know it's been a long time coming. Thank you both for taking the time out of your busy schedule to jump in here for an AMA. For those of you first time, join the NFA Labs community afterwards, just so you can keep up to date. And I'll throw the mic to the team.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Ali, please go. Absolutely. Go you first.
Reality Bites is my name. As you know, I've been with NFA Labs since inception as AMA host and, of course, part of the core team as well. To be fair, as Bumbo mentioned before, we don't generally go on AMAs with with many kind of influencers. We're quite picky ourselves, and we were really quite pleased when you actually messaged me and said, you want us on to speak with you guys because you've been around forever and ever, and we know what it's like and what you guys are like, and it's pretty awesome to be here. So I'm really happy about that. We've got loads to say. We've been building a lot. Sure, Bumbo can touch more on that. But yeah, January 15th. Gosh, it's coming up a year next month that the project's been going. And we're certainly at a point of catalyst for so many things. However, we're just doing what we do. And, we've got a bloody good community. We've got a bloody good team, good supporters. And yeah, it's cool. It's a good place to be, man. And we're here to change DeFi, and that is just actually a real thing. As it says on the screen, we're here to redefine reality.
Before Bumba goes, I got to shout out Shaggy. Shout out to Shaggy from your community.
Shaggy.
I was saying this to you yesterday. I was like, I saw him on all the spaces you guys used to do. He was the first in our comments section. And you need people like that in your community as you're trying to grow. So sorry for stealing the mic. I got to shout him out.
No, man, no. I got his Shaggy as one of our like most long-standing community members, and I like him because he's very direct, and he's very understanding and inquisitive. Like there was a period of time when we first launched, there was a lot of fun. People didn't like us, and you're gonna find out. Well, like, if you don't know now, if you're trying to do good, that's what happens. And so he reached out. He's like, "Hey, I'm hearing this. What is your What is your statement? What are you doing? I don't agree with this. Why are you doing this?" And I was like, "Thanks for asking." And I explained it, the best I could. I'm very transparent. I just talked with him, and he's like, "Well, okay, I get it. I don't fully agree, but I understand why." And that statement right there tells a lot about him and his character. So if he's here and he's listening, I have it full screen so I can't see it. He probably is. But yeah, thanks for all you do for our community. So as we move on, yes, I was like, with you mentioned AMAs were very picky. Also, personally, I don't like it's literally called not financial advice. I do not tell people why. I'm an ex-banker. I know the rules, and I don't do that. What we're here to do, and what our utility is, our true utilities, and I say this over and over again, and no one seems to get it. But I think after we explain what we've been up to, our research, what we found out, we understand that when I said over and over again that our true utility is economics, they might be a little bit more interested in what that actually means. And so, we talk about Athena. Athena's done amazing. The market making aspect was actually something we did not expect. We focused on reducing price per transaction and latency and all those things that you would do as a normal quant shop or hedge fund shop, but we did not expect that we'd be able to do that. I mean, I would think once we were it was like a couple of weeks into October, and someone just said we're at 100 million in volume. I was like, what? Like I was nose down in the copy stuff and like building out the vision, all this stuff. And I was like, did they just say 100 million? I was like, okay, whatever. Like, go back to work. Then we're 300. I was like, maybe we should tell people about this. Like, maybe people might be interested. And once we said that, you would not believe the amount of institutions, the amount of people that didn't really give us time of day suddenly were in front of us, right? And what the thing that I would like to say as we go through and talk about what we've done and what we're aiming to do and how we hope to leave a good mark on the space is that we are here to prove that by being and focusing on being a good economic player, that is actually the true reason why certain tokens are in the top 20, top 10, top 50. It's not because of, oh my God, the tech is amazing. At the base level of it is they allow for the blockchain to grow. They help it grow by not just their tech, but also utilizing the price action volume in a way that is strategic, in a way that is not predatory, in a way that facilitates efficient market. So like efficient market theory is like, that is in the first white paper, if you remember that was something that we mentioned was the tenet of our experiment, right? That we live in an asymmetric market and that we can fix that asymmetry by gathering the best and the brightest into one room and letting them control an algorithm by also letting them control and decide on helping people that have been scammed, drugged, grabs, bailouts, right? And that has people are kind of finally realizing that we are not talking out her ass because in the beginning I remember was it like the first AMA we were talking about it and I said we're here because BlackRock's coming, you're fucked. And people are like, oh, BlackRock would never come here. Like there's no the regulation, blah 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 blah. And I was like, no, they're coming. That's why we're here. Now we're at a point where BlackRock is here and we're cheering. And I told you guys in January 5th. So there is a lot of research that we're going to go through and talk to you about what's happening. Um, we learned so much. This journey has been amazing. This is my first, and I always say first and last project. You give it your all, and I'm here because I had a few hypotheses. My friends that are within the project, they also went, something is wrong with the economics of crypto. And there are so many smart people here. Why has it been this wrong for so long? Because the solutions are quite simple. We talk about insurance, it's a simple solution. It is not complicated when you get down to the ethos of it. And it's a weird thing that keeps, like, I think about it a lot, but finally, we are at the point, we're at the gate where we are providing solutions. Athena, we are, of course she's doing well, but she's doing well enough now that we can provide value back to the community. The insurance side of things, we did our test on the economics of the end token for figuring out how broken economics are in DeFi, and then we're going to use that for good, and it worked. And now we're about to do that staking side of things. So the burning side, we questioned why did the burn narrative suddenly become a thing? Why is it that we are told to remove capital from this industry that could be used for development, that could be used for, imagine they told you just take half your stocks and just throw it in the garbage. Take your money and just burn it, half of it. It's going to grow in value. It doesn't make any sense. So these questions are the questions that me and my team focus on, and that is why our utility is not a neural net. Our utility is not insurance. Our utility is not any of the tools that we ever put out. Our utility is economics and aiming for efficient economics. Or reality.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, and I was going to jump in because, you guys, if you followed the Twitter and your articles that you guys have released in your mediums, like the word econometrics is something that I know you guys have utilized a lot. And I did drop an article in the comment section, if anybody wants to follow along from one of the tweets that you guys posted about how you guys are trying to apply your econometrics theory to N, on Uniswap. So I'll let people go check that out for a little bit more detail. But, it does speak to, like I said earlier, what attracted me to you guys as a team in the first place, which is like the professionalism and the level in which you're trying to attack this at, because it's not an easy road, and it's the road less traveled 1,000%. People would much rather, like you said, say, oh, we got a burn mechanism and this, that, and the other, but there's no real proof. And oftentimes it's just ultimately the tokens being sent to a dead wallet, right? So, it's just nice to see you guys are pushing the envelope on that. And from I don't know where you guys want to go with the discussion. If you wanted to move into some of the numbers or some of the results that the studies that you guys have run have yielded for you as a team, and how you maybe look to apply them moving forward.
Sorry. Just on that, we had a bit of a meeting before we got on to this AMA today, and we've been talking a lot. I mean, we genuinely, for those who in the community, and most people don't know, we literally spend 3, 4, 5 hours a day talking as a team, working on things. It's crazy, actually. If my fiance knew how much I spoke to everyone else. When you're at a workplace, you're with the people you work with. You're in an office, right, in the normal 9 to 5 kind of thing. So we do that, but we're online to each other, chatting away. And tonight, we were just like talking about, why did we come here? What was the initial reason? And going back to, why did we set out to build this? What is the goal? And we I wouldn't say we've digressed from that at all, but it is to a point where we started to feed what people wanted rather than what we set out for. And in crypto, you've got to keep people, for lack of a better term, entertained with, where's this, where's that, what are you doing here, blah, blah, blah. When really we've just got one goal, and that is, of course, to make this a better space and to give everybody a fair opportunity to, be comfortable with what they do, feel safe in space, in the DeFi space, and there's been so many different things that we've, I guess, as I mentioned, tried to to feed to people. When you put a community in front of you, which is brilliant, don't get me wrong, but there are so many things that you distract sometimes from where you were actually initially going. So when we had the conversation before this AMA, we said, do you know what? Let's go back to the original us, the ones when we first set out. We were setting out on the initial AMAs, and what the hell are we here for? Let's wipe away all the distractions, and let's focus on what we hear. What's the insurance? What's the safety aspect of it? What is a decentralized hedge fund, and how are we offering that to people? Bumble will go into the economy side and the figures, which we were just speaking about as well. But it was a really refreshing thing to hear. When we were discussing, we're like, yeah, do you know what? Fuck yeah. This is what we're here for, man. We put in a year of our work, constant every day. And as you guys know, it's day in, day out, day in, day out. And you put in with FUD, you put in with all of these kinds of things, which is great. It's all part of it. But at the end of the day, we're setting out and we've set out to achieve something. And we absolutely are so close to achieving that and giving people what they need. And we're, at the moment, and as we were discussing, people follow all these things that they feel is what should be happening, and we don't think like that. We think differently, and that's what makes us different. Is we try and ignore the norm, and because unfortunately people are comfortable following the norm, and the norm are the ones that are controlling everything, and we're here to change that. And it was just cool, and I just thought I'd mention that actually because we're going back to our roots. What are your thoughts, Palmer?
Yeah, no, and I agree, and like that was kind of what we talked about me changing my name, and it's hard to find. It's been that for a couple of weeks because I'm like I need to get back to my roots, and I need to go back to the lab, is what I always say, and I need to just immerse myself in what am I trying to solve here. So it's funny when we started doing that, we were like I think it's going amazing, like everything's happening, but even then, where I told you about the volume, I'm like, okay, cool, but that doesn't really fix the question that I'm trying to answer here. Back to work. I'll let reality. He'll tell the community, we'll put out a statement. I'm sure they'll like it, but that is not what we came here for. So, it's been freeing. It's been amazing. And so what did we learn? Like, let's start with the craziest thing, which the craziest hypothesis I didn't think would actually work. What are your thoughts, Maurice? Do you need, like, how important are people in the price action and volume and market cap of a token? How if you could rate it, like say maybe use percentages or whatever, how important do you think is the human element?
What are we talking about from the human element? Are we talking about like
So if you wanted to have a million market cap in your token tomorrow, and a million volume in your token tomorrow, and yesterday it was, I don't know, 10K. How important is? How would you get that? How would you get there? Actually, what would you do to achieve that?
I mean, well, as a joke, you'd have to find a bunch of callers who don't care about the project. But as a caller, volume is super important. So for me, looking at a project, well, I'm going to look at it and be like, well, why is their volume so low? Like, what is causing people to not want to buy it in the first place, right? So I'm kind of a weird person to ask because a lot of times when I get asked a question, I'm going to look at it and then almost a lot of the times throw a question back to like evaluate the question. I would say the social impact. If you want to get your market cap from 10K in volume to 1 million in volume, you're going to need a huge social push or a massive social presence. So that requires people to not only buy into the token, which is going to, create volume, which has somewhat of a trickle down effect to create more volume, but you're going to need those people shilling the token and really pushing the social side of it. I would say people are very important unless you have something like a market maker where you're able to generate your own type of volume on a project, right? So yeah, depends on what type of tools that the team has in their toolbox, I guess.
So this is something that's a great answer, and that is the answer that was the answer, I guess, until today. So if you look at what right there, and I think I can't pull up the stats on Dex tools at the same time. But I'll just look at just the volume change based on the ARBs, Sandwich, Liquidators, different bots that just appear. Jared and his boys, right? They appear when these tokens that launch start pumping. There's certain metrics that they adhere to, and they always appear in the pool, right? So what do we do? If you look here, we kind of like let token chill die just to make a point. Didn't do anything, no marketing, nothing, silence, no, not even what are we doing next week? What is end? No, nothing. And then I started using a little bit of personal funds so no one would really see what was going on. Lots of men started strategically placing it in areas of the DeFi economy and doing based on certain criteria and certain things that I've learned. And I know from, going back to my days in the undergrad, this is econometrics, right? You're going, okay, let's remove the human element. And now just let's focus on creating imbalances in the market. So on that day, I used 1 ETH of my own money to buy some N, split it, and place it in different places. And our volume, and most of our volume was MEV, so this is it follows, there's a correlation anyway. So we were nothing, no MEVs, no interest in us, some interest here, right? Next day, hey guys, I think it's working a little bit. Can I have a little bit of the N tokens that we had some set aside for influencers, and for some reason the influencers went, oh, we don't want to do this anymore. So I was like, oh, fuck it, that's cool. Well, that's more for the experiment. Thanks for your time, anyways. So I was like, hey guys, those influencer tokens, can we, use them? I want to specifically not use these. I don't want to spend any money. I just want to create imbalances strategically, place single-sided pools, and see what happens. So again, here we go. Our cows go up, right? This time, I went, let's go big. Let's take any tokens let's take our team tokens, everything. Let's test the strength and of an LP pool and what it does to adjacent markets. We did this. So day one, great for our price. We did wonderful. But the volume was good. I'm like, okay, now let's do the second scenario. And mind you, you can't simulate these things. These are things that are only we are in a time period where this is the blockchain as it is as an econ geek it's wonderful, and that's why I'm here, is because you can only test these things here. You cannot. There's nothing. This is the closest thing you get to a pure free market, right? Where we can go silent and people stop buying. And just quiet so we can actually run an experiment. So next day I go, well, let's see how much volume we can get. Let's just give her, just send her. And this day I think it was 1.4 million in volume total. And then of that you can see sandwiches, 700K alone. And this is just one pool. This is just our native pool. This doesn't include the aggregate pools, around the other pools that we were in. And again, just pairing our single-sided liquidity and testing how far can you go before you become a harmful economic player, right? Because the theory is that by being a helpful economic player, that is how you make the most money. So right here, we didn't pay one caller. We didn't ask the community to do shit. We didn't hype anything. We just silently said, we actually, to make it actually pretty more fun on the first day, which is funny that we did that, we didn't say anything. We were like, let's test what happens when we sell. It's supposed, according to economic theory, it'll disperse into the markets that are connected. So what happened? We're like, hey, here's some tax that's been accumulating. That's about 10K. We sell that. 7K of buys come into our native pool. And everyone's bullish. Oh my God, someone just bought 7K. We had actually just sold 10. Right? That is how broken our economics are. That is how broken. This is just a small token. Playing with some bigger guys. We were able to influence the price of other tokens at will. And this is just testing. We're doing this thing. Okay, firstly, how does it affect our holders? Because we're going to have them staking, and people are going to bring in all these different economies, and what kind of cross contamination that could happen, right? And we found that there are ways in that it's been done. Like if you look at we talk about stable coins that pop up out of nowhere, algorithm stable coins, and suddenly, oh my god, what the fuck, Luna something is number 10 in the world. How do they have that many dollars? Do they have gold in gold bullion? What is back of this? It is just the fact that they are adept at finding ways to help these guys do what they have to do. Weird. Like, how do you feel about a Mev? Like, what if I said Mev or Arbot? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Like, what do you say, Maurice?
Jared from Subway.
Yeah, Jared from Subway. Creepy name, but very important player.
Yeah, that
within the
bot
industry,
on
right?
Twitter that like straight up will, if he doesn't like, if he likes you, he may leave your project alone. Not really, he'll make his money, but not really mess with you. But if you go at him or say something at him, I straight up have seen him like sandwich wallets for like 100 ETH for like a 1K buy and stuff. I'm like, man,
he has. But the thing is, Jared, one of the metrics for me, if I'm doing my job successfully, if I'm successfully creating an efficient market, is when I see Jared's ENSs or his ENS or his wallets, adjacent wallets show up in the pool. I go, okay, I'm on the right track. He's actually the standard of his whatever his parameters are. That is a safe and efficient market. If he's in the market, it is you're on a highway versus a bumpy road, right? So I'm going, shit, I just put my tokens around for day one. Is motherfucking Jared in my pool? Okay. Where else is he going? What are they doing? Okay, let's try again bigger and facilitate more arbitration maps. And so the thing is that we've been, for some reason, and I'm not going to say, I'm going to pretend I don't know, because I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I try to do experiments, but there's been a big push. Oh my God, fuck sandwich box, fuck mess. Yeah, it sucks. But if you're getting sandwiched, the fact that there hasn't been a fix to stop the sandwiches happening we've gone from V2 to V3 Uniswap, but they say they still happen. Why? Right? It's not your fault that it happens. It happens at varying levels of slippage. It just depends on the risk appetite of whoever is on the other side of that sandwich. Right? I've seen sandwiches that happen, but they only make a couple cents, but they've used like 68. It's not about you, it's about the market. Right? And so when it comes to ARB, they're very, very important players, and we see them, and we call them sandwich bots, but they're not. I love this program because it breaks it down perfectly. Who's ARB and who's sandwich, right? When ARBs are the things that keep our whole sector together. And this is something that is present within the normal financial sector. It is, banks, fiduciary institutions, hedge funds, one random guy who's really, really good for some reason. And they all trade various markets, whether it's gold, silver, orange juice, fuck it, like anything. They are the people that keep your economy at a credit optimum, right? And because those markets are more mature, there are huge institutions built behind it. The reason I go, yes, we're still early, we're still young, we're still not ready, but it is the perfect time, the right time for an institution that is very, very adept at entering markets and becoming that conduit, hint, hint, to enter, is because of this. You see an individual, I'm going to assume it's usually teams that are doing this, but this person has successfully figured out how to create a more efficient market, because what Jared does and what these MEVs do, they actually make sure that the price in different markets that are important to us, that keep our industry together, still happen. So for instance, what ETH? I always laugh when people say, "Oh, ETH killer this year." Like it's mathematically impossible for you to beat ETH, because the reason ETH is successful And no one thinks it has a strong correlation to Bitcoin, is because ETH was the first to create that wrapped Bitcoin, right? And so they are the glue keeping the many pools of wrapped versions of Bitcoin in name of blockchain. There's so everyone keeps creating block. We don't need more, but they all have a wrapped Bitcoin, then a wrapped ETH. And if there was no ARM, we would be fucked. It would crash. The whole thing would crash. Right? So whenever I see anti-MEV, anti-ARB projects, I go, these people don't understand economics. And in fact, no one seems to understand economics based on what we found. I should not be able to take. I think that the first day was like that we actually dipped in our pool. We took 5 ETH worth. And it's funny even saying 5 ETH because it's unrealized value, right? But it becomes value and when someone accepts the price. So we took 5 hypothetical ETH, and it became real ETH, and then it was because people were willing to trade it, right? That's how our chain works. It pains me as someone who is passionate about the chain, and I'm sorry that I'm this is more of a more somber way of looking at it, because I don't think this is a time to be celebrating. I think it's a time to go, we worked hard, we found that you guys are fucked, and it's our duty, and that's what we said we're going to do, is tell you what's going on, do our work, do the best that we can, then hand it off to you guys. So it's kind of like we're kind of speaking to our holders here, because these 2,000 holders, which is funny to say for the market cap, the FTV that we have, these 2,000 people stuck around, and now we're going to be handing them the tools that hopefully would be able to help everyone, we hope, and build on that. And the anti-MEV thing, that meta is weird. It's weird to me because arbitration and MEV, everyone knows that keeping the price stable within different markets is important, right? And so we move on from that, right? We go, okay, well, we found out that we don't need people to have the 1 million market cap that we wanted, right? So what about price action? Like what if I know this and I'm launching again, what about the market cap? What about the market cap? So everyone comes in, and it's funny. No one asks why we put only 5% to 5 ETH or whatever in the beginning, and then we had our taxation and whatnot. Why did we do that? Everyone, oh, you're greedy. Everyone went, they don't know what they're doing. What is the real market cap was a good question. That is the question we're trying to figure out. And we went, okay, what tools do we have to get our FDV the highest possible amount with the least amount of capital invested? Within, I think, 15 minutes, what were we at? Within 15 minutes of launch, we were at what I want to say was 14, 18 million FDV, right? We could have let it go. We could have been irresponsible and capped the taxes up and let it fucking ride all the way up. We have enough data now. Like, just let it cool. Let people. This is an insurance, but we want everyone to afford it. That's it. We're done. But we had people. We literally were like, we were serious. We're like, guys, please don't snipe this, because we only need a small amount of data to understand how broken the market is. But we couldn't say that. We're like, just please don't. People are like, oh, we're going to take over your token. We're going to take it over, because they think that we're going to put 100% against whatever the ETH that we're going to use. Like, no, we're economists, we're bankers. Like, we're not going to do that. Like, we know what you're going to do. We know what you're going to do. So we're saying, hey, guys, that's really funny. Please stop telling your private whale groups to take over a token because you think that it's going to, you're going to take it over and you control it. Like, that hasn't worked before. We don't care about price. We are here to fix a problem. I would like, we can do a lot of things and then send the price wherever we want, but that makes us no different than the people that are here to fuck us, right? So we tried. Okay, well, sure, there you go. It's they put in, we pulled the tax. Okay, now we have to let it settle because we are going to the next phase of our experiment. So educate people as much as we can. but not enough that they can steal our ideas, because people love to pretend they're us, and then they suck our liquidity because people go, oh, they talk the talk, but they never went to business school. They don't have master's degrees. They don't have PhDs, and they always failed. We always leave holes in whatever we put out, because I kind of find it really hilarious to watch people as they struggle with the true nature of the problems that we're trying to fix. Because that is exactly how it's derivative, it is boring. People just do the same things all the time. I miss the old school. And that's who we are, like what we are. And I mean, even I don't really talk too much about my days at Chip, but I loved my time there, helping with the swap. In fact, the first person to talk about it, they wanted to do, they would need to have, they were like, it's time for utility. They wanted to do a dog charity. And I went, that's great. But at the time, it was like sushi swap. It was one guy just fucking rolled up a swap and was doing well. I'm like, we have an issue coming up. That you guys keep saying that Vitalik is never going to sell, but he's very active. He's not some person that is going to ignore. Once we passed, I think we passed, it was like 100, 200 million or something. I was like, he's going to notice these tokens. And we don't have much liquidity, right? So if you were around that time, you notice there was people that were, members of the community, and I think that they took the time to explain to people not only like how to put LP up, but how lucrative it could be. I mean, there was still a time not many people understood the impermanent loss and whatnot, but they like, look, you can make money again by what I said before, being a good economic player, right? And so we go, to SHIB swap and all that, and it's still in the top 20 tokens. And people go, okay, well, yes, love the community, sure, they're very, very pride, they have a lot of pride, but there's a resilience in that chart. And the resilience is from the fact that once they got to a certain point, it focused on deepening their liquidity, making it harder to send the price down, take billions of dollars to take the price down. And it was done, and it was like that team, it was a bunch of people that it was like an Xbox fucking chat room, but we all worked together and brought whatever we knew to bring economics into the picture. And it was very successful. Of course, there were holes that will be fixed, but it was something that was, I'd say, more powerful than sending 50% of your tokens to someone, because it's from a spot. It never works. It never is the most efficient way of doing things. And so that brings us to what we're working on, and how we're trying to roll different things in. It is very, very hard to kind of like decide what is priority, what do people need next, right? And we talk about our roots, and one thing is that when I say going away from roots, it's not, oh, we got read. No, we're like, oh my God, these people have been so loyal. We need to give them something. But I always remember, I laugh about Athena. We did Athena April. We put out a dashboard, and one of the things I always regret is I didn't take the time a week to just use it exclusively. I was so focused on, we promised them this, give them this, right? But that is not like, we are trying to give them not just a couple things. We're trying to give them everything. We're trying to give them hope, right? We're trying to basically take everything we know and distill it in a project and give it to some people to take it forward. And so that's where it comes into, building the DAO and building the burn mechanisms and whatnot. And the burn thing was something that pissed me off. It always pissed me off, because it was something that did not, like, even if you were a SHIB holder or OG or whatever you want to call yourself, you love dog tokens, whatever, and you were there. The guy Ryoshi never ever said anything about burning. It was the community that latched on to the idea that less supply means increased price. And so, if you are a decentralized, completely decentralized project, where do the burns come from? Where do you get, if you were like Satoshi. Where do you get the burns from if your community wants burns? How do you do that?
I'm much going to have to take tokens that are going to be used for something else and remove them, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. You either have to, you have to spend your own money, or you have to ask the community to spend their money, right? That is the only two options that you've been given ever. And I was like, this is stupid. Like, that is not one, like, that's not how this works, because there's so many other factors that I think like econ was one of my favorite things, because it's the study of like teaching yourself how much you don't know, right? You just don't know. And there's no sure economic theorem, right? And that's why it's great to test these things. But learning doesn't do shit. Like it does, the reason it doesn't do shit is because you have to take capital out of your community, out of your project, and throw it in the garbage, and then be expected to bring value that other than intrinsic value to your project. So you're burning, and then you go to market, but then you run out of money to market because you're burning, right? Or your community is like, oh, we'll do burn days, but then they're doing these burn days and they're running out of money, but the devs are rich, and then they get angry and then they don't. That's it's a very like bachelor's version of the principal agent theory. It's fucked. And we went, okay, well, there's a way to do this. And I was like, we traveled like, and Love Hermes was like, yo, hey man, I want to try something. Like I'm working on this thing. I'm sketching out. I'm like, look, can we like when we were can like I'm not a blockchain Solidity dev at all. I was like, okay, well, if you have USDC compared to a token with tax, the tax still applies. If you do it with ETH, still applies. So what if we were able to burn any token, right? Any token paired or whitelisted or whatever we want to do. What if we did it, right? What if we, because what is the mutual benefit here? So if when we said, okay, we're going to burn, which is our first mission, we want to do Bone, just to go back to my roots and help those guys and see if it works, right? Because everyone there is really didn't really want that burn. So I'm like, okay, let's try them first. And they're a good market to test that because they understand how LP works. They are used to being, being paid with tokens in exchange for to make up for impermanent loss. And you don't hurt the community by asking them to impair ETH. You don't hurt the price. So we can go, hey, we call it earn and burn. We're going to pay you to do this to help us see if we can fix this. How does that benefit our token? So one, of course, everyone understands you got to buy in first, right? So of course there's a price action that will be great. And we're being a good economic player. And here we go. We're going to get price action. We're going to get volume now because we're not competing with another insurance protocol that wants to take our lunch. We're competing with Ethereum as the preferred LP pair. So we go, okay, you can use Ethereum. This is what they have. Nice and stable. In the beginning, will be volatile. But does USDC or does Ethereum do they reduce do they put deflationary economics on your token? Oh no. Okay, cool. If you're a project, you can say we're deflationary without having to spend your money. Think about that. And so that is something that we're still. If you're a sleuth, you'll notice tests happening around. We don't obviously use our ENSs because, again, don't want people to eat our lunch. So we think it's a big idea because then you can start your project and use our little token. And even if you want to use some for these, you want to use some with N or complement or whatever you want to do, you can now tell your community that over time, as they are active and trade, your tokens are going to reduce the supply. And yes, there is the effect. I mean, ceteris paribus, all else equal, yes, price will go up, but that's not how economies work. And so by doing this, what we're trying to do is like, hey, okay, you don't need to focus on burn. Hey, now you have money in your pocket. If you want to be the best marketers and make the best viral meme coin you can, you have more money in your pocket to do this, right? If you want to go and make the best, your heart's desire of like fucking utility, you're geek like us, You can do that without having to burn. One of the things I was thinking about, I look at the burns that we did, like, man, like I'm an idiot. Why did we burn? Like, and that's what we were like. We're not going to do this anymore. We're just going to give it redistribute. And in fact, we were talking about fixing our economics just by relaunching the pool. Very simple. And that brings us to more things that we've realized, which is, do you need people to have a high market cap but sustainable project? Right. So let's look at this. Reality. So we did 5% to N, and we got to what you said, 18.
Yeah, man. To be fair, I would need to check, but I'm pretty sure it went pretty high, pretty quick.
Yeah, very clearly. But that's a small amount. It's it's not enough to have a robust market. So think of this: what happens when our liquidity right now is like 700K market cap, right? So say we take 700K market cap and we put it to 1% of the pool. That's 7. We're multiplying it now by, like, what's that number? What is that? 7 bill?
You said have the calculator ready, which I am.
No worries. I was like, bring your calculator, because it only works because they expect it was 7 bill. Yeah, there you go, 7 bill. Right. So we can do that tomorrow, and we'll be 7 billion market cap. Right. We can make our token holders whole and say we'll promise you that you will get, currently we're at 10 million. There's 10 million that is going to be in your pockets, right? So we now have a 7 billion market cap token. We've got 10 million that's given away, and then we have 990 billion left over. What do we do with that? So how would Uniswap deal with that? Is there police? Oh my God, like, we need to do something, slash the circulating supply. No, they can't, because if they did that, they have to do it to Bitcoin. If they did that, they have to do it to Ethereum, because there's wrapped versions. What, can we sell it? No, there's price impact, right? There's expectation. Oh yes, you're going to try to liquidate. No. What we're thinking of doing is, no, we're not going that extreme. I don't think my team would like. I have very crazy ideas. They're like kind of like, okay, like, can we go half crazy? Because I actually want to do just one token and see what happens with 700K, right? I was like, what? Fuck it, let's do it. We could just do another contract. But I was like, because what happens then is I'm going to go, let's give it to our DAO. Let's give the DAO control of the remainder. You cannot sell that. It's unrealized value. But over time, it can become realized. It can be given in small amounts to help people. It can trickle and become realized just by getting people to collude and help, and by being, again, a good fucking economic player. So I know I went on for a bit, but that's what we've been working on. We've been going, okay, well, one, we're tired, we're angry, because no one is listening to us. No one's gonna fucking listen to this anyway. I'm sorry, like, I'll be real with you. We have been trying to tell people. The BlackRock thing is hilarious. I'm just like, guys, they're coming and they're smarter than. If you think we're fucking smart, you're fucked. You guys are all fucked. If you think we're smart, right? We're just kind. That's it. And they are going to come in, and they've done it. It's something that's been done since they created the audience. They go in, they understand the market, they have enough data, and then they become the invisible hand within the market. That is why they're one of the. I'm not going to lie to you, like, it's one of my favorite companies, because that is, they're adept at figuring out the weaknesses, fixing it, becoming glue. Right? And so you get to a point where when BlackRock says the price is going somewhere, it goes somewhere. But this is the one market that they can't do it, because they don't have control yet of the bigger tokens, our BTC and our ETH. But then they're going to see just how much yield you can make in the DJ market. And if you look into, for instance, a token that has, it's a green frog, look into it. private equity, right? And you go, okay, well, that's cool. There's a lot of yield. Wherever there's yield, there are bankers like myself, ex-bankers or ex-economists or whatever, looking for ways there's interest. They're like, holy shit. I mean, you're like, whoa, we made 17 million%. You go, wow, that's crazy. Can we do it again? Right? That was these two candles show that like that need to go, can you repeat it? Right? And so what we're trying to say is we have the insurance thing is one side, and there's everyone's program always going to burn blah blah. It doesn't fucking matter. We built in the mathematics so that there is a sigmoid function and there's a linear function. Sigmoid is going to be giving out any revenue based tokens. So we're going to have the ability for people to spend their own pools and whatnot, and like there's all that, and then of course the Athena profits, right? But it rewards loyalty. We don't believe in locking your tokens. We believe everyone should be liquid, but if you wait around, you should get rewarded. So look at what a sigmoid function is. I'm not going to even try. Just hockey stick curve inflection in the middle, and an expectation is that all tokens that are are put in that line are distributed within a quarter, because we're going. It should take a quarter for us to if we even fail, like, come on, be smart. A quarter, like, that's 3 months. Like, you have enough runway to keep things going there. But then on the other side, we have the steady flow of insurance tokens. And the idea is that how we will do staking is not your single staking inflationary bullshit, right? It's LP staking. So widens the pool, gives you yield. We will have single staking, sure, but you will have a heavy skew towards the LP, right? And like is meant to. We want our goal is one end in every wallet, right? So our testing and taking our time and whatnot is, we kind of stop and like take a minute. Like, we can't rush a fucking thing, because there are more people that want us to fail than that want us to win, and it is evidenced by our chart. Stable as hell, because we have holders that believe. 2,000 holders. 2,000. I think we hit like 2,000, like fucking 300 at ATH. It's a small amount of people that believe, and a wider amount of people that will take anything with AI in it, or anything that they think is DeFi, because people will tell them buy, 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 and we're going, hey, we're not here for that. If you want to stick around, give us your minds, help us out, teach us what you know, and we can make ourselves better. Like, the whole insurance thing was an epiphany, because one of our, and I'm going to shout him out, fucking Bart, the GOAT. We talk economics all the time. And I was sitting there, I was like, man, like, I really want this thing to work. And we're chatting. And then suddenly it hit me. I'm like, oh my God, the problem is that there's an expectation for premiums to be paid. Everyone goes with, we'll use the tax to pay for insurance. That's dumb as hell. And that is like, that's not how we're going to be doing it. It is, the only way that it works is if you have what we call as a weaponized economic model. You have to have two economies for it to work. Two economies that are separate enough that there's no contango or price correlation, right? If you notice, our tokens move in different directions, and that's by design. Every other project that I've seen with multi tokens, they do the fucking stupidest thing I've ever seen, which is, let's put our LP together. You idiots! Like, you have a new token and you have a mature token, and then you tax both, and you make it so that people hate your token, and then you make them wait for the utility on the new token. You're gonna die, and it's an Ouroboros. They just fucking eat themselves. With us, we're like, there's no fucking NFAI pairing. We will not encourage it. We will not, and in fact, we have ways of making sure that it doesn't even hurt. And instead, we go, okay, well, what can we do? So what like how we're doing this is we feed revenues, cash flow, which is how we use our taxes, our cash flow. We use this revenue stream to build up the pool. So if you look right now, um, I was a part of cult very early, and I was pre-sale cult, and I forgot about it. I was like one day, so I was like, "Yo, check your cult. What's oh my god!" I was like, "Holy shit, what happened?" The pool had accumulated a massive amount of ETH, and suddenly your tokens had power and value, right? They had utility because now you have the power to decide where that money goes. I like that. It did devolve into something else, and I left, and it's very documented on chain. And I felt that that was an incomplete test of what we could be. Because I'm going to ask you another question, Maurice. Are you excited about regulation? Like, what do you think about regulation in the crypto industry? What are your thoughts?
Um, I, I, I mean, people might not like my answer, but personally, I don't think it's the worst thing just because I see how people operate with very little intentions to ever deliver or follow through on their promises. So at like the small level, I wish there was more, but going after these large caps where, they've been running maybe for 4, 5, 6 years. I don't love the almost like what seems to be a witch hunt sometimes of the bigger tokens, but I do think more regulations need to put in place or just more fear needs to be put in place so that people aren't just willing to launch a token, no ownership, no responsibility. They'll rug people out of 100,000 to 1 million, sometimes a couple million, and just hope they don't get caught. They don't like that. For me is just, I get why the mainstream narrative kind of pushes crypto the way it does, because as somebody who's in the space every day, I try and defend it, but I understand it because a lot of what I see is stuff I don't agree with and things I wouldn't do myself. But I'm one man, so if it was better regulated, I think people would maybe just take a step back and think before they acted versus just act all the time here.
I love that answer because I agree. In fact, I think regulation is necessary, but where I find it really hilarious is that when I say that, I believe in decentralized regulation. I believe that the best people to start the regulation side of things are the people that understand it, right? The reason, like, it's weird that the only narrative that has been pushed, and no, this is why we're here with you and not with some other fucking snake oil salesman out there who doesn't even consider these type of questions, right? The regulation has been pushed as something that the only people that are smart enough to understand and help you have a safer experience on the chain are these people that have never used the chain in their lives before, that are going to be advised by people who are here to extract value from the chain. Those are the people that should be guiding you through your journey, whereas you've been here through fucking 3 cycles, shitcoin and everything. You've seen everything, right? So that's why there's a question that was asked, like, you were doing an insurance protocol. Of course, we can't legally call it insurance, right? But that's what's insurance for everyone listening. But you don't have people that are there to mathematically figure out how much your premium should be. I'm like, well, there's not premium. There's no premiums. And remember, the basis, I love the callbacks. The basis of this project roots is in the theory that price reflects all information in the market, and in aggregate, more people in the market will make a better decision than one person. So I'm looking at, we have this question a lot, and I'm going, okay, well, if someone comes in and tries to exploit our DAO, and our DAO is a vote, they're going to be motivated to vote and give out tokens to these people, right? There's this other side of this. Humans are also humans are selfish. That's another tenet of economics, and so they're going to be very, 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 very careful about who they give it out to. But they're going to balance it with, oh my God, we don't be too much of a dick because no one's going to come to us for help. And that's going to drive down the price of our token, right? So the balance of that, having a bunch of people being able to look into things and determine if this person's scam or not, and also the fact that you have to you have to be in the pool for a certain period of time before you can even claim. And then if you wanted to really, really, really take over the pool and make all the decisions, the token's gonna be so expensive that, come on, go ahead. I gladly please send our token all the way up and make everyone rich so you can have the ability to have that power. Go for it. Right? But it's set up in a way where we try to minimize the impact. And it shows when we have been damn near fucking stable at 9, 10 FDV throughout anything, and just goes to just hit. It's like someone was making jokes like this is like I've never seen a quadruple bottom or something before, right? And it's just because of how we've set things up in that, people are like, oh, you change, you don't renounce. Oh, fuck no, absolutely. Renounce is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We live in a sector of innovation and we should have malleable this is software. Why the fuck would you freeze at Windows XP? I mean, it was great, but that's what you're going to do. You're going to say, okay, this is the most perfect version of what I have. And that's it. No. We had certain instances where we were people were dumping because we're related to other projects that were dumping. And immediately I was like, sell tax up. What happened? Everyone went down 70, 80% on the chart. We got a nice humble 30, right? And we still got flooded. Why are your taxes so high? And I was like, because we're stopping people from ruining the chart. This is an invisible hand mechanism. We've limited our ability to go, oh my God, we can go 100. We have a max tax. We put that in ourselves so we wouldn't get drunk with power. But this is something that is, again, another narrative. Like, if imagine that, for instance, there's a way that everyone is trading and we have free ingredients, whatever it is. And everyone in DeFi had tax tokens, right? And FTX does their bullshit. And everyone on the chain just puts up the fucking drawbridge. We would have been fine, right? Only the people that were most scared would be willing to pay. That's fucking 10%, 15%. Like, I mean, that's you tip a meal more than that. I hope, right? You tip your waiter more than that, right? We made you a lot of money, and we're trying to protect the community, protect your wallet. But then we get these influencers that are not there to help. They're there to be pawns of something else. And they go, why are you doing this? And they expect you to panic and, oh my God, we'll change it right away, sir. Like, no, I would rather deal with you at this market cap than deal with my community at 70%. I'm not here for to help you. I'm here to make sure that people that trusted me are protected. And that's why we are the way that we are, because we say, this is what's happening. We were testing out signals from Athena, longer signals. We're like, we've got a lot of weird signals. We're going to put our, we're going to put it up, and that was the first time we did it, and it was within 45 minutes, BTC dumps. It was like what, June, July, and just did it, and we're like, whoa, shit! Like this, what if everyone had this? Why is it that people hate on tax tokens so much? Because it makes absolutely no sense. And I'm like, you are not children. You are people that have invested and understand how businesses work, and that businesses require cash flow, and they are supposed to build things. And you're sitting here and you go, I am mad at you because you put up something, a drawbridge, tax temporarily. I'm mad. I'm so mad that my wallet is the same value that it is yesterday, and everyone else around me is dumping. I'm mad. I don't want to pay 10%. If you wanted to be, the people that actually do pay it are actually the savvy ones, because they're like, yes, I will pay 10% right now, exit the market, pick up buy the blood in the streets, and I can come back And there's a lot of guys that do that, right? And that's why we have a limit, because I didn't want to do an experiment. It's like, okay, what is the psychological, barrier where we are, we're making a point, but we're not really hurting them. It's 15. It's sticker shock. It's like 10, like 9, going from 8 to 10 is like, we don't really go to 10 because people don't like, it's a people are like, we're very you look at like 9.99 and fucking like signs and stuff, like it applies. And I remember how whatever community I was like, guys, let me just calculate this for you really quickly. This is how much you would lose right now if you left. This is how much you've made by being here, right? Um, and I don't know. I just there's so many things that are wrong, and I think people, I don't think I'm a little bit crazy because I kind of am. I'm just like, we've got whales that go, oh, they don't exist anymore. We have whales that the sailors are like, yeah, we're gonna dump on you. I'm like, okay, go ahead. Thanks for pay me my fucking taxes for stewarding this investment, and we will continue doing our work because we abide by the rules of business. This is our cash flow. We don't care about the assets. If I was going to invest in 2 companies, I would take a company that has smaller but very high cash flow over something bigger that is stagnant. So yes, you're free, you're liquid, you are free to do that. That is what we believe in. Go ahead, do it. And then they never do it. Right? Because like they expect you to bend, but you're like, no, we are here. Our job is to make a difference, to fix the economy. And they've never dealt with people that actually are trained in that. They've dealt with devs who are talented at programming. I'm not a dev. People are like, yeah, dev of NFA. I'm like, I'm literally not a dev. I keep saying that. I'm not a dev. I can't code for shit. Right? But I'm good at the economics, right? And that's what I hope that more people step up, because there are people in communities, and I was that type that person, many communities where I'm going, guys, like, maybe you should try this, maybe you should try that. And people just, you don't know anything, right? This guy on YouTube said this. This guy drew a triangle in a chart, and I believe in triangles. That's just my thing. It's gonna go up. Like that's not like no one. Like you don't know. Like we don't have enough data on Bitcoin. Our neural runs on every has trained on every minute that since Bitcoin has started trading. Aladdin, for instance, trades oil. Same thing from the 80s to now, right? Like think about that. Like, and you trust a human being that cannot take in that much information more than you've got people with algos around here. You can build your own. You can literally fucking build your own. But you're like, no, this guy, I like the way he draws. It's like horoscopes for men, I was called. Like, yeah, dude, you're totally a fucking descending triangle. You're just such a descending triangle. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It just is a thing that we use to comfort ourselves. It is a way of synthesizing many different patterns and anomalies within a chart, so that you go, okay, this triangle means something's going to happen usually at this percent of time. But what is the triangle encompassing is a bunch of different shit that's happening, a bunch of the different variables. So it's just a way of your brain. How can I put it? It's like acronyms. Like that's what it is. But is that a way to teach a community or a sector to do well? No, no. So why are those people the ones that get the most attention, and the ones that are saying, be careful and learn and contribute? They're the ones that are those influencers that are suppressed. I'm like, why does Maurice have less followers than fucking BitBoy? You know what I mean? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Don't get me started on that conversation. I've already
yeah, but I'm saying, yeah, but I'm saying, it is done. Like there is a lot going on, and I'm going to be a little bit vulgar. Sorry for any children that are listening or whatever, but like, basically, you're getting fucked in the ass and you don't even notice, and you're actually cheering it on. Yeah, this is great. This is great because someone else made money, and you could make money too. You dangle a carrot in front of you. Someone was a millionaire. You're not a millionaire. I could be a millionaire. Let me just keep gambling. Let me just keep doing. Like, it is the weirdest thing, because what's going to happen is that's going to be the fucking dance, and then suddenly music stops, right? Everything's taken over. Okay, we've infiltrated everything. We are the authorities. You don't have anything, any way of doing what you want to do. You can't exit. Whatever happens, but it's going to happen suddenly, and it's going to happen when you're celebrating the most. And I guess that is the end of my speech, and that is what our research has yielded. I hope that we put a dent into what we think is going to happen. We've been right so far. No one cares. It doesn't matter what we say. But there are a couple, 2,000 people that we do care about that do listen and have supported us, and we're doing this for them. But honestly, once we're done and we hand this over to Dow, like it is, we want to give the tools and the ability for the, people to choose, how things go. And as for me, I'm done with the sector. That's that. Like that is it. I will watch from the sidelines. That's it for me. But yeah, that's my really really happy and bullish presentation about just the we're that's it. That's it. I'm kidding. It is. I'm sorry. Our research has yielded what we thought it was going to be, and we're glad that we have created something that people can build on. We're hoping that we can expand in ways that there are talented people within our community that have their own ability to build bots and whatnot. Maybe we could build something that allows them to help too. And we're all about making resilience within the sector by doing things the way that everyone else does it, but doesn't want to tell you, which is it doesn't matter if the price goes up or down. It just matters what direction you think it goes in and how much money you put in the map. Bet. So yeah, that's my TED talk.
Yeah, so go ahead, Reality.
Maurice, do you have any questions?
Yeah, no, I was just kind of enjoying I was, and I really enjoyed the discussion and just the passion that like yourself and Bubba bring in here. So, couple of questions now. I do want to flip it around a little bit more on participation because you brought up an interesting thing, a couple points that you mentioned that I kind of picked out. So you'd mentioned one thing, Bumba, about the staking, like that you have to stay in it for a certain amount of time. So I just wanted you guys to cover off, maybe if people aren't as aware on how they participate, between the various
of course,
ecosystem to like maximize their yield.
Of course.
And then builder perspective, how do like builders try and engage and interact with you guys, and what types of profiles do you look for from that side?
So Reality, you want to take it away while I get some water, and I'll jump back in.
I'm surprised you went for this long without any water, my friend. You've done very well.
I'm the king of the fucking filibuster. The old. I will go. Just go to Econ mode, right?
Sure.
Right, and then he started rapping for some reason, and everyone just stayed. It was weird. Like, man, I love a good filibuster. But no, I'm gonna get some water. Come back. Those are two really good questions. I'm guessing Reality, you wanted to start with the B2B side because you are running that show. So yeah.
Okay, so Maurice. So the question is, what are we looking for other projects? Is that what you were saying in order to join in?
How does somebody participate within the ecosystem more from like a token standpoint, like within the staking protocols, just, like what are some of the pools going to look like? And then, the second question was more about developers and builders, because I know as, somebody or a team that's looking to pass it over to the DAO, well, there's going to have to be, some support. You guys are going to have to make sure that selection process, going forward for the end token keeps, growing, but you want to kind of lay the ground floor, right? You want to set them up with some good examples and really show them how and what types of projects are maybe best suited, right?
Oh, Reality, you got it. I know you got it. I can hear it. You got this one. You got you can hear the excitement. He's like, thank you for talking about that. Yeah, go ahead.
We've done a bit of work into this actually, and initially we've set aside some N for pairing because we want to prove the concept. Obviously, what we've tested so far is volume because of course volume for us creates tax, which feeds our ecosystem, of course. So The next step is, of course, burning, which is LP pairing for other projects. So we're initially going to set up a few. We've dropped some hints into chat about some projects like Bone and Pepe and things like that, where we're going to prove the concept to them with with the last tech update from Hermes. The burn contract is now working, which is good. We haven't integrated it as yet because this is something we've been testing as well. So you need to test the volume, and then we'll add that burn contract in. Essentially, we're creating a deflationary tokenomics. So to go into, first and foremost, in order for us to obtain other projects, and we've had a lot of them who've come to us. I've got a whole bunch of DMs on the left side of my screen here from projects who are coming to me, and these are big proper projects that have been going a very, very long time. How can we become part of it? One here is, as N pairing is launching soon, we thought it'd be great to potentially be one of the first projects to become onboarded within the platform. Can we have a meeting? We've got lots of those DMs right now in relation to that. So for us, we need to prove the concept. We need to show that we can build and burn and actually create a deflationary tokenomics within a system that doesn't have that, such as Bone and these kind of projects that are screaming out for someone to actually buy and then burn their token, rather than the project, like Bumble was saying earlier, simply just burn the tokens themselves. By using our pools and the projects, we pairing to their LP. So we'll use we've bought some Bone, for instance, and we'll pair that with LP, with N, which then feeds people that are trying to buy Bone will feed through it to our pool, and then with that will create taxes, and those taxes will be then pooled and used to buy and then burn the token, rather than just simply buy it. So it means that the project itself doesn't have to actually do that themselves. We're going to change the whole entire way that any project works in relation to building up the burn side of things, but doing it properly. Bumba discussed that quite a lot earlier. So let us prove that first. So we're going to do it with these big projects that create volume. So now you've heard about the volume and how that works for us. It works in, first and foremost, because the pools, the buyers are diverted through our pool. It creates volume. Volume creates tax. Tax helps our economy. It also goes towards our insurance pool. It goes towards our war chest, and it goes towards the buy and burn for NFA, which is deflationary tokenomics in our own ecosystem as well. So first and foremost, we will prove that with these projects and show everybody that this will work. Can anybody do it? Yeah, anybody can do it. Any community can buy in and pair to them, and that will do it. However, we will have whitelisted projects as well. So what we don't want to do initially is just pair with anybody, because we need to. I mean, we're setting a standard in this space anyway. So we need to make sure that the projects that we are working with, essentially, put their name next to ours or next to N. First and foremost, are real projects with real people. We don't want any bad, bad actors or anything like that, because we don't want to associate ourselves with that at this point. I mean, we're trying to do the opposite by creating a safe space within and those kinds of things. So what kind of measures will we have in place? Initially, these are kinds of things that I guess we haven't set an actual like a black and white standard for that. However, once we've proven the concept and then we start to take on some of these big projects, and a lot of them, as you guys will know, when we start introducing them, then we can then start burning their project, and then we'll start getting more projects coming on board and things like that as well. So that's essentially
I just want to jump in just from a practical standpoint. So the easy way to put it is we actually had this debate as we're stitching together the last little bit and going, okay, how do we keep this secure? How do we keep this sustainable? How do we continuously grow? So I told everyone when we first announced this, go home, study Curve. Told the team to go home. No, those who weren't in the know, go home, study Curve. Study the Curve Wars. Understand how that works. Why is that important? Because curve wars were how leverage was bootstrapped, but they basically had a problem. Like, we can't just let everybody fucking pair. We can't just everybody just come in here. We have to make sure that we get the best pools because our goal is to accumulate as many stable coin, what do you call it, LPs as much as possible. That was the goal back in the day, right? And what they did is they went, okay, now we have the DAO can choose. And what I loved and what was cool about what they've done and what we were trying to emulate. And I don't want to talk over again, not a dev. I just give them crazy ideas and they come back with crazy solutions. And we're talking about how are we going to do this? And we're still going between, do we go, no one gets burns unless they're whitelisted, or everyone gets burns, but a smaller amount, and then the whitelisted tokens get the podium status, right? Because of course the pools, that you have to protect your pools, and you never let just anyone fucking roll up a pool, unless you are Uniswap, which is again facilitating that liquidity pairing. It's brilliant, but for us, we are giving value back. So what we looked into is, okay, how about this? Instead of going, you get this percentage and you get this percentage, we actually have everything done in a way that is there's volume based and there's asset based. So the most amount of people, the asset based is for, we'll say that the lower tier, the entrance within the ecosystem. That encourages people to get more of their community members to switch over, because then they will get a larger portion of the emitted tokens. But then that means that like we'll say a big project that doesn't really have volume can just keep winning, and that we don't like that. That's the thing we're against. So then there's activity, which is going to give you it's a small. I said 10 is what I want, is just 10 pools that are based on volume, and you don't get to stay there forever, right? And so what does that do? That allows us to bring in a lot of things as we go over time. And maybe it's not me, maybe it's the next crazy person that wants to take this job that starts layering on things like bribing and whatnot. But we are trying to give the foundation of, okay, how do we motivate people to be good economic players? That's all it is. And so, yes, the burn thing is very, very important because we want to make sure that I know if you look at what happened with our end launch, we were fucking like literally like there was so many fake people that were trying to manipulate our pool. Like it was crazy because they're like, I don't know, we're for so how small we were fucking watched. Like we walked into meetings with T1 exchanges and they're like, yeah, we know who you are. Welcome. We have some ideas for you. You're like, what the fuck? Like, we are known, but like but our voice is suppressed. And it's kind of sucks, but it's kind of flattering, I guess. But what I want to say with that is everyone will like scammers will start using it, and they will do honeypots and they'll go to it. But what happens to the price of that honeypot in a V2 liquidity scenario? It goes up. The price goes up because the 1-to-1. They scam, it burns. We see the scam. We're able to give back protect the community. We're able to very easily see if you're a community member or you're just a wandering band of pirates, and help, right? And that's the thing. It's like it allows an exit. It allows a way for you to walk away from a bad investment scenario and still have your head held high. Like I don't believe in influencers. I fucking hate this where they go and they're like, yeah, you know the risks, right? Like it's just part of your journey in crypto. No, bitch, like that's not how this is supposed to be. I wouldn't go say, yeah, you go invest in Apple and Apple crashes. Oh, this is part of being in the stock market. No, that's not how this works, right? And even then, it's hilarious because there are a lot of influencers that, if you know, and Maurice, you know, kind of a little bit more than the people who are listening because you've been around and watched this for a while, But there's a certain set of influencers that absolutely fucking hate us. There's one influencer actually that held on, funded us forever, but we watched. He dropped a 6-figure bag in like July or August, and refused to engage with us, and would always FUD us and hate on us the whole time. And I could only imagine the frustration he felt as he then unloaded 6 figures, right? After funding us. Like I mean, it's kind of weak. It's kind of sad, but you still make fucking like 6 figures, right? And I'm going like, there's so many good things here, and we're trying to be good. And this is just a full case study in there is a bigger part of the industry that wants it to fail. They want it to be a laughing stock. They want they want this to happen because it makes the case that there needs to be someone else from the outside to help. And we're trying to do the opposite and say, nah, we're good. In fact, we should probably set the framework for you guys. And so that's why we're able to attract people like John McPherson, who was around for the fucking creation of Ethereum and Cardano. Like these buddies, and he was willing to talk to us and guide us and counsel. And like, we've been so busy with everything that we haven't, we put the DAO stuff. We're like, okay, this is our framework. We're stitching it, but we want to get the foundations of our tower or whatever building done first, and then we can go and paint the walls, do the fixtures. So, he's a great guy. If you ever have a chance, if you're in our chat, he's there. If you ever have a chance to look at what he's done, he is the DAO guy. He's the guy that understands DAOs, because there were no DAOs until kind of like that split with Ethereum and Cardano, right? We've had DYDX, our first AMA actually, DYDX. They were kind enough to have their DAO representative come and hang out with us and give us guidance months ago on the failures and the successes of them as they created a DAO, a DeFi DAO that is, one, compliant with regulation, and also has managed to keep a community happy and give them control over many, many, many things that I would be fucking scared to give them control over. How do you do that? And there's certain things that you have to do that we understand, and we're trying to put them together. You can't just roll out a fucking snapshot vote every couple of weeks. It is a matter of giving, how can I put it? Giving people enough tools to build, but not enough to kill each other. And there's people who've been around DAOs understand exactly what I'm talking about, right? So that is why we kind of haven't really said much, and we're just trying to make sure we have the framework down, and then we can go, okay, now what can we hand off to the community? What can we hand out? We want to hand off a Athena version to the community so that they can vote on trading, right? And it's funded, and it goes and it does its thing. Because that's yep.
Sorry to catch you up on, but right when you're on the topic, one of the questions I saw come in from some community members when I was going through the comments earlier was, is there a way, because I know that the primary basis on what you guys are using for test is off of BTC, right? For that, what you guys are running. They were curious, like, how will Athena be modified and applied across different chains as you guys scale it up? I know that was one thing I saw.
We're not going on different chains. That is not our wheelhouse. Different exchanges, yes. And if every exchange has Python, that's what we use. We use Python. That's the language outside of this Solidity world that allows for arbitrage, allows for market makers and whatnot. So we trade using Python. So it's very easy to spin up a portion of your Python code. Again, I have to say easy because the devs do it quickly, but it's relatively easy than other things that we've had to do, where you go, okay, we're switching over, we're going to try and test on this other exchange. So when it comes to handing things over, what is necessary is, so for instance, like within Neural, if you're a team, you've got machine learning, for instance, it just does the same thing over and over. Neurals are recursive, they keep learning. But either way, there has to be maintenance, and there has to be tweaks. Sometimes it just tweaks. The market has changed, and you know it, but the algo's just not getting it, right? And so the thing is that if you there's a wonderful project that I respect so much, and I want you guys to look it up. And we mentioned it in the white paper. It's called Numeri, right? And these guys are more quant focused because they give obfuscated data, and then they reward people for giving them best signals. But it proves it's precedent already that they're ahead on this. Like if you give a large group of people, information or the ability to control variables, the more people that join the community, the more right they're going to be, and they're going to beat the market, right? 2,000 people making a decision will always beat just one random guy. And like that's just how it works, because it's also self-fulfilling prophecy too, right? That's how these large exchanges kind of control prices. They just have the most participants. Why do we do the BTC? We stick to the BTC pool because it is the most deep pool. So, if we're slinging around fucking like, at one point we're doing 200K every 10 minutes. You don't want to do that in the pool that is high slippage, like, which is just not our thing. So we're trying to also create a framework where the fees are as low as possible. It's nice and cheap. It's fast. It has longevity, and it is something that we can provide to the community in a way. And we have concepts that we can't share yet, because that, again, people fucking steal things. But basically, it's like giving you a little, there's knobs and switches, and you can vote on where in the next time period, which would be not every minute or 10 minutes or whatever it is, that we'll be dealing with that. But every day, like, what do you think the next day is going to be? What do you think? I'm going to put up votes, and there's going to be quorum, and then the signals are set for the next day. Week, same thing. Month, same thing. That's where the real money is actually made, is those higher time frame trades, right? And that's why we try to keep feeding capital in, and then you're making these safer trades as a community, thinking, gathering data, improving, and working on that, as opposed to, I mean, I won't lie to you guys. I mean, the hell for me is spending 2 years constantly being in control of a high frequency algo for 10,000 or whatever people. That is like, I'll just go back to the bank. I'll just go that way. At least I'll have more people with me, teams to help me do that. Like, the point of this is to provide something that offsets the volatility in the market, right? And giving you the tools to be able to do that. And so there's more things coming that we've been hinting at and whatnot, that allow us to build more on the platform and provide more tools and stitch ourselves with other scrappy projects that we call it our cartel. These projects that we have been with us forever and they're doing well, but they always come back. They're like, oh, we've learned this, we've learned that. Like, it's cool with AI projects. I think all the AI projects are thick as thieves. Like, the guys who are actually into AI and into the tech, they are like, we help each other. We share information quite freely, and I love that change in the sector. It's the downside is one of the things where you have to. A lot of people go, give as much power as possible to DAO, because we believe in decentralization. Decentralization means freedom and anarchy. And no, that's not what. That's a very libertarian. Whatever you're into, cool, but that's not how. It's a business. It's an organization. So there has to be rules, regulation, walls, fences. Like, I'm a big believer in the least amount of variability. So even when we look at the insurance pool, we're not ever going to allow someone to give when there's a claim, you can't get 0 and you can't get 100. Why? Because if we're to say the DAO, like, the DAO's going to do whatever they want and there's no consequences, give 0 every time, because then all of it goes into burn, right? So, or like, and the same thing, if you're trying to manipulate, you've infiltrated the DAO, You just give 100 every time. So it's like these little things, just like any business you work at, they are not going to they give you enough for you to do your job and to delegate, to divide labor and motivate you enough to come back. But you don't just get to walk in and say, okay, I'm going to just work naked today. Like, that's not how this works, right? So people decentralize a DAO is not anarchy. And so don't expect us to just be like, hey, here you go, boom, do whatever you want, and here's some money. It's, here are the tools. Here's, we're going into registrations, and we're finding some not just registrations of the DAO, but also, can you be a legal counsel, guidance, or an expert that can be a delegate or represent the DAO and to help them guide the decision. That the most successful DAOs have that. Outside organizations specifically are able to create frameworks, paperwork, all that. So it takes a lot. If you're going to do it right, it takes a lot of work. And luckily, we're the only trading project that, within the DGen, still the DGen kind of like small cap, market cap, that I've seen that has even lasted longer than 2 months. Like I remember seeing these things come and go, oh yes, we're doing so well, we're up, blah, 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 and then they just die. And it's because we're careful. We're careful. I mean, for the longest time, people were frustrated, right? Like we were doing like 2-3 leverage for months. I was like, yeah, they're like, what, hurry up. Like, okay, you tell me how long it took you to build your neural when you did it. And I'm glad to listen. Like, no, we're the first of our kind. So we have to be very, very careful. We want to be fair. We want to give our best. And so that's why, that's why some people really like us, and some people really hate us. And, honestly, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We're here to help and, do what we can. That's all.
I saw quite a few questions in that chat, actually.
Thank God.
Maurice, but there's a lot of them, man. And some of them, I don't know where they're getting these questions from.
Well, I'm out, guys. No questions, please. Reality's gonna take a hold, but no. Let's do one. Maurice, it's your show, man. Like, how do you want to do this?
There is a lot.
I'm not even gonna look at the questions because I just wanted. I like organic. What's up?
Gone into all like the parts of the project, right? Like you guys still have like a few other protocols you've built out that are still kind of like just not the forefront of what you're pushing right now. So I know that as much, but if you want to jump into those, you could, or if you want to.
No. I absolutely not, because we. No.
We could go into that discussion a little bit. However you want to spin it, we could get maybe 1 or 2 from the community live.
If they want to come up and get questions, maybe that's kind of nice.
Get, maybe Vlad has a question. I don't know if he was wanting to help or.
Vlad, yeah, crack on, man.
A question. I'll get Sujay up. He works in the financial realms, in his real job. So I know he will have some. He always got some good ones.
Yep.
And I'll read you in the question section, see if I get any that catch my eye. Do like 10-15 minutes.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey man.
And then
yeah, actually,
ad hoc talk at the end we can.
I will be fair and ask Reality some questions, because I gotta drink water too. Like I'm.
Okay, I'll do my best, man.
Go for it. I hope I can start with my question, because I think some of us can have a slight delay, because, okay, that does not matter, actually. Yeah, I have some questions around your, concept of the product, but you managed it pretty good to answer all of them within this 1 hour, almost 2 hours. But yeah, I still have one question considering product in your ecosystem called Kenny's. Basically, I was just wondering the choice of blockchain you plan to launch it on. What drove the choice of Shibarium? Yeah, because in terms of background, Shibarium comparing to other layer 2 blockchains on Ethereum has currently like a really low total value locked. It's below 1 million, and even fresh layer 2 blockchain base has above 300 million total value locked, so it's much more active. And you also describe the competition in your white paper, and I see that you pointed out Maker, Aave, Compound, but those are like cross-chain, multi-chain lending protocols. For example, Aave has more than 10 chains, and Compound covers all popular Ethereum layer 2. And yeah, that's why I was actually interested if it's still in development, if you have any plans to maybe move to different layer 2, and also, what drove your choice of the blockchain to launch it on?
So we haven't launched yet, but I've been very clear from the beginning. And Stroton knows this. I like it isn't a dumb move to build a lending protocol, as you said, like on where the capital is not there, right? And to be fair, every single blockchain, it takes time for it to ramp up. It's great. I'm not going to go further than that, but we are here to lend. So why the hell would we go where no one needs lending, right? And so that's the best way to put it. There are when it comes to development, no, like we have the framework there, but it is the reason it is the last thing is because it is the most dangerous and most expensive thing you could possibly build on chain, right? So we went safety first, revenue, safety, then by the time the DAO's there, then we have the community also to guide us and say, maybe we're good, maybe we don't need to do that, maybe we even wrap another lending protocol with insurance instead, right? And so, that is something that we were very clear on from the beginning. We didn't say we were going to Shibarium. We said we are here to help the SHIB ecosystem, right? Your next point, which is a good question, why was your comp set Aave, Maker? It's comp set. It's lending, right? So it's not like we have credit unions and banks. Right, that's not how this works. I mean, even if you're going to do comps, if you're going to do comp set in your own city on the best loan that you could get, would you include small lenders and big lenders, or would you ignore the small lenders? But when it comes to lending, it's lending. It's lending. It doesn't matter. We're not at a level where we have commercial banking, corporate banking, mirrors. It is just the ability to provide debt in a way that is efficient, in a way that doesn't force liquidations, and in a way that doesn't take down another chain. I mean, one thing that people forget is in the real world, we had the whole we had Evergrande, we had all these banks that were commercial banks, and this is a great question because I come from DCM background, so debt is actually the biggest market and the most robust market and the most dangerous market that can take out an economy. So if we go to Shibarium and put out a debt protocol and we don't have everything right, and now we're using as collateral we'll say more volatile asset than BTC. I mean, it's even funny calling BTC like a non-volatile asset, but in comparison, we have volatility there. And of course, we have our idea that we won't tell people because last time we did that, someone launched a whole thing. And so, but basically, we're looking at it. We're going, we have to get everything right. So we have to have a bailout system for if we fuck up in the end, right? So why would we do insurance first? Is first of all, can give us permission to do it. Also, okay, can we maybe have a pool set aside? Okay, if there's something that's wrong and we're in danger of taking down a chain, we can just ask the DAO. And imagine the power in that, the power of having your holders sit there and have a pool of money that they can go, okay, like we can stop the contagion of a debt crisis. And so that's why we were like, yeah, that's cool. I know you guys, the Shiba community they really, really want this to happen. But strangely enough, we mentioned it, and did you notice Binance suddenly has lending for SHIB? They like go ahead if you want lending, go for lending, go ahead. But we're going to take our time. That is the most dangerous thing you can do. It is like super dangerous. Any project that goes and it's the first thing that they do is lending, and they are successful, man, those guys are geniuses, because it is the hardest thing to do. It's the hardest to raise capital and convince people that you're safe enough to keep their capital there. Because you need capital to be able to lend. So first you have to get people to give you money, and then you have to also have your mathematics right and do it in a way that you are entering the market and you're competing with Aave, and Aave is going to always have the BTC market, the USDC market, all of that. So people are going, okay, let's lend to we'll call it mid-market to small caps, and that's where it gets dicey, right? You're doing this, but also in the end, if you've noticed, and you're based on your question, I'm sure you've noticed, even with the depegging of stables, it always goes back to Aave. It always goes back. So it would be dumb of us not to include Aave in our comp, because whatever Aave does affects us, and whatever we do affects them. So it is not the same as doing comps, outside of. We're not mature enough as a sector even to do that. That's my answer.
Yeah, and speaking about Aave, I just had to include that in my question. Aave and Compound, just maybe, just maybe you have plans to launch your lending protocol cross-chain too after you launch it and it is successful on one layer 2 chain. But as I understand, right, framework is developed now and product Canis is on pause, and you're waiting for the ecosystem to function properly to then ask your DAO if they want it to be launched, and if they want it to be launched on Shibarium or a different blockchain, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they want to do it, I mean, I probably won't be the guy in charge when that happens. But if they want to do it, sure, power to them, and maybe it's going to be mature enough to do it. If I was going to do it tomorrow, hell no. Both to having a lending protocol and to doing it on a chain that doesn't have any TVL. Did
you actually consider a possibility to launch it mainnet first on Ethereum?
Yeah, that's exactly. No. Yeah, that's what I've said. You're right. So if we want to be successful in lending, you have to be where the money is, right? So the money.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's costly to develop and to sustain. Yeah.
What percentage of Bone is on Ethereum versus what percentage of Bone is on Shibarium? When that skews over 50%, right? Then maybe 30% if there's no other players there, we'll go, right? But it has to mature and marinate before we're even doing that. So that's why we're not worried about getting that done, because the lending side of things, you don't get a second chance, right? That is everything we've built, if we fuck on lending, we are never going to be able to help and accomplish these things. So baby steps. And I think that's, people expect, I mean, if you even think about it, people are going, in a year, can you build sales and trading? Can you build a neural net? Can you build insurance? And then also build a corporate bank in a year, the mirror of it in DeFi? And they're like, man, it's wild hearing these questions, because yes, I've been around the industry, but I'm like, man, the expectation of fast is such a thing that everyone adheres to here, and that's probably why a lot of things are kind of shit. I'm not gonna lie to you, they just are terribly made, because everyone's like, yes, you should be able to build a lending protocol in your, it's a mirror of a bank. If a bank just sprung up out of nowhere, would you just move your mortgage over? No, right? You'd probably stay with the one that's been around for a while. So you have to look at the comps, look at the highlight reel, who fucked up, how they fuck up, how they fix it, if they fixed it, what's wrong, and try not to imitate. There's a thing I always talk about. We always talk about first mover advantage. There's second mover advantage, right? If we here's a good example. If it was we were just doing remembrance data and stuff, You think about going over into war, right? The first guy over the hill, like, yes, he might be able to see and get a vantage point, but the second guy gets to see who's getting shot and then choose his point, right? So that's for us. We're like, that is something that we will be very careful and include the community because we can't move unilaterally on that one. So that's our answer there.
And it's also really dangerous, like to sustain that to sustain lending protocol in terms of possible exploits. Like I remember the last year, or no, this year, this summer, there was a curve exploit of the curve liquidity pools and major exploit above $20 million. Yeah, thank you. And actually, that's a really important topic. That's why I decided to bring it to the table and to highlight it, because I think it's, as you said, if you fuck up lending, then the whole ecosystem is fucked up. So yeah, thank you for your answer and good luck with that, with building the ecosystem.
For that question, because you're the first person this whole year that has started off with, I have a question about Canis on Shibarium. I didn't end with, why isn't it done yet? You went, hey, are you being careful? Like, are you considering that maybe, like, that was a very, like, I'm sorry, that was very refreshing. Because I expected something totally, you got me in the first half, and I was like, oh shit, okay, oh yeah, like this is that, like, thank you for that question, thank you for stepping up, and also giving us a bit of advice. So thank you.
Yeah, Vlad's been around forever. Like, he just randomly tuned into an AMA I did like all the way back in December 2021 when I first like took over and started them, and just kind of hung around. He's in his like master's program where he lives, so like he doesn't always able to attend, but he helps out a little bit in the background, and he helps Buck out as his coordinator over there. So yeah, Vlad knows his shit. He's also, like he was very direct. So thanks. And Sue, you want to as well?
Yeah. Hey, Maurice.
Yeah, this one's right up your alley. So yeah, you'll love chatting with Bumba. So I'm just going to give you the mic.
Yeah, lovely presentation so far. Very informal. I like it. It's different from most of the AMAs. First of all, I'd like to say you have a great white paper / website, because with AI projects, what I've seen is anything with any kind of, with remotely technical stuff in it, the people tend to just dump a whole lot of nonsense from the internet on their white paper. It's just extensive, unformatted text copied from the internet and just pasted without any context. But you haven't done that. It's very precise. There's diagrams, and while still technical, it's somewhat easy to understand, even for a non-technical person. So loved it. I have a specific question on the Athena trading platform, right? Now, you've mentioned that there's going to be a sentiment analysis, a sentiment data and sentiment analysis that's going to be incorporated in the trading platform, which will improve the decision-making of it. I don't know how far into it you are, but my question was, and I have this question for any kind of AI trading tools because I'm intrigued by it, because sentiment analysis in crypto is a completely different beast as opposed to sentiment analysis in your traditional markets like stock market, right? Because in stock market, I believe the sentiments are still somewhat derived from your FA and your TA, and just sentiment alone cannot do much for a stock. But in crypto, it's completely different. You could have an influencer with good credibility repost or just reply to a post from a completely dead project, and it's just going to take off, even when there are red flags on TA and FA all day long. So when you, first of all, when you do the sentiment analysis, the data gathering and the sifting of that data is not an easy process, because again, there's going to be so much noise, so many bots, so much stuff that is not really important, so much chaos that you have to sift through. And let's say you are able to do that successfully and in a somewhat accurate manner. how much of a weightage then is the trading platform going to give the sentiment analysis that is derived, especially in cases where the technical analysis doesn't look strong, the fundamental analysis doesn't look strong, but there is huge hype, and the sentiment is really strong because of X, Y reason, because of somebody promoting it on Twitter or YouTube or whatever. So in that case, what kind of a weightage would the trading platform use? And if it was to overlook the red flags in the TA and FA and go by just by the sentiment, would it also then know that a trade taken purely based on sentiment would obviously always be a short-term trade, and would know that these trades would have to be exited fairly quickly to register a profit?
Yeah, great question. So for background, we moved really fast. We got to update that, guys. So gamma is where we're at, which is the neural that incorporates everything that you see there. Sentiment analysis, as you said, it's at this point it's short term. So we've got we'll call it fundamentals all the way back. We're looking at all the way back from the first trade to now, and it trades until it gets to a success rate or a Sharpe ratio, like whatever we're focusing on, that is something we can trade on. But sentiment, you can't backtest sentiment, right? Sentiment, it's something that is, if you look at, we talked about the coin merge and the APIs they have. Talk about we've got Luna Crush, we've got CoinGlass, we've got there's so many ways to, like, the information is all out there, and it's fun. The funny thing is that crypto is very driven by sentiment in the short term, and it's well documented. There's I think if you go into, I think it's in the Discord. I put a couple papers that I really liked in there, academic papers, and there's one study that was done years ago on the sentiment analysis and how it affects trading. And of course, you cannot just use sentiment alone. That is a lie. You can't do that, because the people that are part of the zeitgeist will say change all the time, right? Right now, Elon says something. We're at that point again where Elon says something, launched coin. It's great. There's a period of time where Elon was persona non grata, right? It ebbs and flows, right? So what I would say is that how we do this is we incorporate, and we won't say exactly everything, but we incorporate many APIs that are there already and we average over time periods, and we also include things that show financial sentiment, right? So you got for instance, like funding rate. Funding rate is a great way to understand, but within an exchange in the short term, what is about to dump or pump, right? But in a vacuum, absolutely not. There's no fucking way. So what I would tell you is that we rely on it, but I would say it's a very small. It's one node within the neural. It's very small, but it gives you a little bit of an edge to go, maybe we should take the stop loss here. Maybe we should exit the trade. Maybe we made enough money or something, right? And the joke is, the best way I always tell people when they ask me this question on sentiment and how it affects crypto, how do you know if someone's in crypto? They'll fucking tell you. That's literally how it works here. You freely talk about whatever coin you're in. That is the whole thing here. You go to the equity side, no one's going, oh my God, you got to get an Apple, right? No one's doing that. But here, it's based on you, a lot of projects, because I call them pyramid schemes, because the success is tantamount to you getting someone else to come to the project. So people go out and, have you heard of our Lord and Savior Bitcoin or whatever? I literally have people approach me on the street to ask me if I was in crypto. Of course I go, no, I don't know what to talk to you about. Get away from me. But that's how crypto works. And so sentiment data is so rich. Everyone is constantly talking about it because there's no regulation that says you can't. Right? So that's rich. And it is useful, but is it useful as something that I would put $1 million trade on? Absolutely fucking not. So yeah, that's my answer.
Okay. So what I'm getting is, you mentioned it's one node. So it means it's
so neural net,
not going to overuse it.
Yeah, so how neural net works is it basically it tries the best to mimic how we make decisions. So you're going to make a trade. There are 20 things that you decide on. If you're gonna I don't know, like go outside, there are many different decisions. You're looking at many different variables to decide how you're going to dress, even. Right? What are you going to wear? Is it cold or not? You haven't opened the door yet, but you're trying to tell if it's cold, right? So, but within a neural net, like just like our brains, we have these decision criteria, and you would say they're nodes. We call it the hidden layer. There's the input layer, hidden layer, and action layer, like the when we actually execute execution layer. Within the hidden layer, when you're doing back testing, you are basically taking those decision nodes and you're trying different variations of weighting of whatever you think is important or whatever you put into this neural. And eventually comes out and it says, we're going to make trades, and based on 10,000 runs from this time to this time, this is really important. This is not, right? So you do the back test and then you do your forward, right? So we go over that. If the forward is good, that's when we trade, right? So you go, okay, well, in the last 3 months, for some reason, people really, really cared about sentiment. If that neural says that during a run, that's when we do it. And I love to take the quote. I think it was a guy from Blackstone. He's like, "Do you think the price of this is going up or down? We are a slave to our algo." That's the best way to put it. Will I force the algo to do something? Fuck no. My job is to continuously to make sure that it makes we keep improving, just making it, find ways to make it do decisions faster. Because the whole reason I did this is so I wouldn't have to trade, because I'm probably terrible. I'm a terrible fucking trader. If I was a good trader, I wouldn't need a fucking algo, right? So that's the best way I can put it. Is like sentiment. Maybe it's not something that I would trust myself. But if the algo says, yeah, we're going with sentiment, it's been rocking it, I'm just gonna go with it. It knows more than me, right? So yeah.
Now, I'm not an expert in neural networks, but would you have control over the variables wherein you can decide the weightage manually, or even turn off a node where if you see that the market is going in a certain direction, where you can say, I don't want to use the sentiment node for the next 1 month? Do you have that kind of manual control?
No. We basically have. Yeah, that's impossible. Like we basically, like, neurals are not machine learning. So when we have the machine learning, we have both, right? So in a machine learning like algo, you can go, okay, fuck, like RSI is not working, like we're out, right? With a neural, you go the whole, like it's like, do you have a brain defect or a disease, right? Do you have like Alzheimer's, right? Can I just say, okay, let me go in and do surgery and take that out and it's going to be fine? No, you have to retrain the brain. So it's the same thing. If the whole thing is making bad decisions, it's retraining time. We can say, okay, maybe we'll try it without. We can even say, here's the data. There's no variables. It's just raw data. Just keep running into walls until you figure out how to go in a straight line. And like if you've seen like the neurals that are learning how to play Mario, for instance, right? They don't tell them really anything. They're just like, your objective is to get to the end of the level, and they do crazy shit to get there that a human wouldn't do, right? So we do our best to say, okay, here's the data, and here's the training wheels. But at the end of the training session, the brain doesn't rely on the variable. It's thinking. It doesn't tell us, okay, we have been using 100% of this. It'll tell us what is important and what isn't, and it'll just go off and do its thing, right? And then once we get the recursive thing hopping a little bit faster, then we want to see that start training on the fly without having to use resource intensive methods to keep retraining, right? So that's where, like, we talked about, I think we did tweet about agents and how we're going to be using agents to do that, and that's when I get to be fun and you guys are all doing staking and it's down, whatever, I will be in the lab constantly improving this thing, because it's something that not just for you guys, but also for us and our families, right? So like, that's why I'm very passionate about making it work the best that it can. But yeah, you can do that. It's not machine learning. You have to retrain. You can add, like, it's basically how the best way to put it is that you're giving it a set of data that's randomized and it's trying to make sense of it, which is like I don't know, like a baby figuring out how the world works. And it just, you can say, here's how I think the world works. This is our religion. This is my beliefs, whatever. And it's going to do its thing. Right. And at the end of the day, you just have to, is it going in the right direction or not? And you just have to go with it. So, yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you so much for that explanation.
Yeah, no worries. I'm really, this is really helpful because I like, it's also like, allows me to challenge and understand like what, like the whole point of this is for like you, I want, like, if you're like, oh man, like, man, that's really good. Let me go home and try and make my own. That's what we want you to do. Right. So, if you ever have questions, our community is really cool. Come in. I don't really answer questions. I'm always busy and I'm trying to just like get things done, but like, don't DM me. I will say that, please don't do that. But our community is very, very great. And you can come in and ask a question just like that. And if someone can't find the answer, they will find it for you. They're wonderful for that. Like, and so don't bite, come through.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate the time and the answers. Thank you, Maurice.
Awesome. No, great discussion back and forth, guys. And again, if I'm kind of looking through a few that Buck have sent me. This one's from Swavey. Said many technical trading models, if you're looking at the stock market or Forex, are using data currency pairs, Euro, USD Canadian, which have, centuries or half a century of data available when you're building. So he's like, how accurate are you guys perceiving like the data that you guys are using for your crypto models, considering it's just running off a much shorter time frame than some of the models or, algorithms that they use when it comes to Forex or, traditional trading markets? So,
okay. Yeah. So that one is a very easy question. Like, I am a big believer that we don't even know. Like when people say this is a cycle, we're in a bull market or bear market, like we haven't been around enough for you to have a full economic cycle. So I agree with you, but it's the best way to do it. It's one of those things where I look at like Aladdin in the beginning. I'm not saying we're only over Aladdin, but like in the beginning when they did when they did tech, especially with the advent of computers, personal computers, it was not super accurate. There was only two players. But now, when they say the tech industry is going to be booming, every bank in the world goes with them because they have been the rich data is the key to success, right? And because trading requires use of data and figuring what's important, what's not important, and trading and basing on anomalies is the holy grail. That's the Renaissance capital of the world. That they're going for anomalies. And so right now we're just at the point where we're trying to gather data and figure out what's important is not, because no one's really doing this yet at this stage in the sector. It's not mature enough. And it's pretty rare for a couple of guys to have enough money to even do that, to be able to raise enough money without a VC or PE backing, to kind of homebrew and roll their sleeves and do it. So, I think we're probably the best when it comes to how we gather data. Now, when it comes to adding certain variability in certain nodes, that is where it gets tricky because this is the most volatile asset class out there, right? It's like, I don't know, we're trading like Dutch tulips. Like it's crazy. And we don't have enough precedent to say this is going to happen, that's going to happen. That's why we went down to minute candles, because when you break it down to minutes, it's essentially you're simulating a larger time frame and you're making up for the fact that you don't have the ability to have the same amount of candles that a BlackRock would have to the 80s for oil, which would be the equivalent candles. I'm just spitballing here, didn't do the math, but I would say it's closer to having every minute for the last couple of years would be the same as having every day or every hour in the 80s, right? So the best we can do is break the data down, continuously break it down. That's the whole econometrics thing, is buckets, time frames, and just getting as close as you can to the answer, but also understanding that you don't have all the answers, right? So I will never come out in here say, we are the most accurate bot ever. No, we're not, right? When we're like, what we're trying to do is build a sustainable outcome. We're not here to leave you, oh, you're going to 10x every time. No, we want to leave something that in 10 years it has grown and people have taken care of it and built on it, right? And not something that is a fly by night. We're just going to throw in, send it 40K, 40x, and maybe make it, maybe we don't. Those are the guys that came before us, and they're gone, and they've taken your money. So we're not like them.
That was a great answer. And again, I know it's a bit of a loaded question, but handled very well. In terms of like other questions, I think we've covered a lot about the project. I don't know if you still wanted to jump in some overall market discussion. I know you've kind of pulled in a few different things.
I'm going to have to take a little go because I'm way over time.
I've got to go. But that's cool. That's completely cool. Like we can wrap up and make sure. I know I've talked to Reality. We're going to get you guys back in like every couple of months, hopefully for some updates and more of a series. So yeah, if you got to run, man, you can close out anything you want to leave the community with before I end out the recording, and then we'll get you back on. Or if you guys are ever running into space and want an extra speaker, just shoot me a DM and I'll jump in.
Of course. I mean, Reality's going to be like, don't let me do it. I was going to say we're all fucked, but go ahead, Reality. What do you want to? Let's leave about a positive note.
No, man, I am still here. It's been really interesting listening, actually, of course, for me and for everybody. Sorry, I got a bit of feedback on there. So it's very hard to summarize all of this because there's been a lot to take in, but I'm sure we've answered most of the questions within the conversation, and Bumper has been on absolute fire tonight. And before we jumped on here, I knew he would be absolutely on fire because we had a lot of good conversation. And if you have any questions, the thing is to jump into the chat and speak to us directly. I do take DMs. Essentially I deal with the community daily, all day, every day. So if you do have any questions, you can ask the community or myself directly. You're more than welcome to do that. But I think what you've seen here is what we are building is something completely different. It is utilizing what is out there, but to the benefit of our project, and to build a safer space for DeFi. And sorry, just mute yourself for a sec, brother. Anyways, thank you. I was just getting a bit put off with that feedback there. So yeah, any questions you got, come and see me. We are building something that is different. Price action is not. I was actually chatting to someone whilst Bumble was chatting, and they're like, "This must be one of the most undervalued projects on the planet." However, that will change, and we haven't. Yes, of course, it's something that we want, to grow, and that is the ultimate thing. But it isn't what our main focus is, because you have to build something and make it perfect before it becomes a huge success. And you can see there's many elements of what we're building. We've got Athena, and we've got Canis, like someone has mentioned as well. We've got Hecate, which is our insurance arm. We've got N, which has 3 different elements, of course, which is essentially burning for LP. It's also our insurance, and also volume creator for NFA token as well. A couple of things to look forward to. We do have staking, which is just about to drop. It is something that I've just listened to another half an hour team meeting on that, with some previews on our staking platform, and it's pretty epic. And what's going into that, and the build, and the work that goes into that, and the back and forth with making sure that's 100% correct is just epic. It really is unbelievable how much work is going into that, because this is different to, and as I said in our AMAs, we can copy and paste anything. That's not what we do. We do everything properly. And when we've got the staking out, when Athena's putting out the profits, when you're multi-staking and earning all different tokens, when we're burning LP of the other projects, and all this stuff is right on the edge of all being ready to rock and roll. And that's what we've spent all this time building for. And the 2,000 odd holders, they're going to be rewarded, and I absolutely expect to grow exponentially. There are you've all heard of Aladdin and BlackRock and things like that, and we've got some serious people out there that we're going against, if you like, and you've got to make sure you do that properly, and that is exactly what we're doing. We've got some of the best techs, some of the best brains behind this project, and we are building an absolute empire. And I welcome anybody to come and join us and ask us any questions, and challenge us on anything, to share anything you've got. Please do. We're open to it. We'll be having some AMAs coming up as well to talk a bit more about the things that are unrolling or unraveling. But yeah, it's time that we start giving to our community back through staking and other things that we've got. And I'm pretty excited about what's to come, because let me tell you, I've been talking about NFA Labs for nearly a year now, every week, more than once a week most times. And I'm super excited to, to finally get the release of everything that's coming and just show everybody what it is that we're capable of and what we're doing.
And way to close out, and I just kind of threw Bumba on mute quickly and then threw him back off just so you didn't have the reverb. But if there's anything else he wanted to close out with, again, I'll kind of give him the chance. But, for me, again, a lot of respect towards you guys. I know it's not easy to tell it like it is sometimes and just be honest with the space about what's happening, what the trends are, where things are going. Sometimes people don't want to hear it. I joke that people rather be spoon-fed a lie sometimes because it sounds nice than deal with a truth that isn't as easy to digest. So I just think, again, you guys bring a lot of transparency. You guys are trying to build things, as people were able to hear for the last 2.5 hours, for the right reasons, for the community, for the betterment of the space, and try to really make sure the decentralization of the blockchain stays decentralized and doesn't kind of go into the wrong hands. And, as we've seen with some of the ways the stock market's manipulated and the way it's controlled from the top down, it's not really for the people. So, I like the mantra and the mentality, and obviously, the tech and the numbers that you guys are seeing behind it are really impressive. And, a lot of people do support you, and, a lot of people in my network, I know, speak very highly. I know there's a couple marketing teams that I know pretty closely that have worked with you guys since your launch, or pretty close to. So yeah, again, I respect you guys a lot as a team, and, obviously wish the community and yourself the best of luck going forward. And, as I always say, just make sure as you guys are reading through, definitely take the time, join the community, just see how these guys operate with go through the material. You're probably going to have to go through it 2 or 3 times sometimes, like even myself, when I was going through everything to get prepped and ensure, things were ready for the post and whatnot. It is really detailed. So, don't hesitate if you don't know something to ask a question. They got a lot of knowledgeable people in there. It's a great hub of information, and yeah, their medium's really cool too. They got a lot of good articles set up. So yeah, just again, guys, thank you so much.